known to us. How do we deal with it, and what are the issues that are facing our industry now? The biggest issue that I faced, even as a practitioner, was, I remember there were so many clients of ours who would come and ask, we want to buy and license a particular tune from a very old Bollywood song. Whom do we go to? And what do we pay? We want to do it legally, but where do we go? No one knows where to go. This is a big problem insofar as there is no one who tells us who is, the owner of a copyright, where is the place that we can, obtain rights, obtain licenses. The Copyright Amendment Act of 2012 brought various amendments for artists, lyricists, stakeholders, authors, music producers, everybody. But then I think collective management and collection of licenses, license fee and royalties for them has been a failure. It's been 10 years. I don't know why collective management doesn't work in India. It just doesn't seem to work. And that needs to be addressed. There are multiple stakeholders, multiple right holders. There is a huge supply and a huge demand, but there is no channel. There is a lot of copyright works on the one hand. There are a large number of people who want to exploit them, but how do you bring them on one platform? I do not see a solution coming up, because the industry needs to get together and create a solution with the government. Otherwise, we are in for a very big, long haul of lack of adequate revenues in the copyright space is what I feel. Some of the suggestions, even when I've attended international events, and for example, if you look at the WIPO platforms, etc., there are a large number of models that we can follow. And some of the models I want to mention, because I think we need to look at what we can do and how to solve this problem, because the laws are there. Doing forgery is wrong. Pirating is wrong. There are injunctions granted by courts every day. Judges recognize these rights very well. But that recognition becomes very, very singular for that particular work or that particular copyrighted album or music or repertoire or playlist or whatever you may call it. It is not transcending across copyright works and across copyright owners, and ultimately the benefits are not coming, And some of the issues, some of the models which exist internationally are for having an, national enforcement agency on IP. That is one of the first things I think which we can look at, as there are several, I can give you examples of some agencies that exist. For example, in the European Union, there is what is called the Office of the International Intellectual Property Enforcement, IPE. This is in the US. Japan has IP border enforcement. Philippines has the intellectual property, which has an enforcement office within it. Uganda, Ukraine, Russia, even Pakistan has a separate IPR enforcement agency. Armenia, New Zealand, Canada, almost all the countries whom you check have separate agencies for IPR enforcement. And my own experience on the IP division tells me that the biggest challenge that IP owners are facing today is the online counterfeits, online violations, online piracy. There are and this is actually assuming very serious proportions. Now, there are a large number of matters which we on the IP division, we are 3 judges in the Delhi High Court, we face on a daily basis, and these relate to registration of fake domain names. And what is done is, the domain names are registered with 800 or 1,000 rupees, and then there's a whole ecosystem which is created, and there's a complete, if you may say, dubious manner in which these businesses are, imitated and cloned onto the website. And you will not believe, the Delhi High Court currently is dealing with at least 70 to 80 such suits, where amounts have been collected on the ground of giving distributorship, franchiseeship, copyright music being allowed to be downloaded, etc. Crores of rupees have been collected by these people. And we are, kind of getting it investigated by the cyber police. It is a challenge because none of us know who are the IPR owners. The cyber police is not aware who are the IPR owners. We don't know who are the victims, how much monies have been paid. They've all been collected into bank accounts. And this is a very, very big problem. Imagine 70 to 100 suits in one court on this particular issue. And this is the kind of challenge that we are facing. And therefore, I feel the time has now come to actually create India's intellectual property enforcement agency, which I think can be called INDIPA. And in that, I think you need to have a proper administrative committee under governing body, which should represent all music and IP owners and creative industries. The enforcement wing of this agency should be separate. This should be recognized by the government as the IP enforcement apex agency in the country. Once you create that kind of an agency, you can form various subcommittees within that agency to ensure that all the IPR owners, artists, lyricists, music composers, etc. are collected there. There's a proper database made of IPR rights, collective database of who are all the owners of various music compositions, various arts, various tribal arts, various folklore. These are all things which are being completely misused internationally. Because if you go to any major jurisdiction in the world, any major metropolis, there will be a small India market there, and you'll see almost every form of our traditional expression, whether it is the geographical indication market, whether it is folk music, whether it is paintings, whether it is meenakari, whether it is, the pashmina, whether any form of traditional expression in India is misused. There's a lot of money which is being lost by our own communities, by our own artists and people. We can actually do a lot by having an IP enforcement agency at the apex level in India, at a central level, not in a state. Every state has a separate. And this should be the common platform for all IPR owners in the country and for people who want to exploit IPRs. So this single platform organization can actually start having negotiations with international bodies which are of a similar nature. For example, Europe has a specific agency which deals with all performing arts and performers. In US has a specific agency which deals with visual arts. This agency should have negotiations with all of them. India is actually a victim of piracy because the creative content is the highest. Almost all the television channels of our country are available for free in the US and UK. I have watched them myself. I don't think any broadcaster is getting any money from any of these jurisdictions internationally. So I don't know why we are not getting together and putting these as part of bouquets, which are subscription bouquets across the world. Broadcasters need to earn a lot of revenue from these international markets because our Indian diaspora is very, very big. And there are viewers across the world for Indian channels. And if you get together and create this kind of a platform, revenues will increase. It can be trickled down. This agency can be the disbursing agency for all the artists who can be paid on the basis of the downloads which happen on the internet. The collection can be at a centralized level and it can be actually disbursed to all the stakeholders and the IP owners through the agency. The setting up of this agency would also help in negotiation of free trade agreements, because I know as a matter of fact, for example, when the Europe and the Indian FTA is negotiated, there is a lot of demand from the other side to, get recognition for their geographical indications, such as champagne or cheese or any of those. But we don't have the same kind of provisions for protecting our IP owners in our free trade agreements. We need to have that. The negotiation between the governments of the different jurisdictions has to be backed up. Just the way it's backed up by their IP owners from their side, India needs to do it from our side as well. There are a large number of new forms of generation of revenue. The internet has opened up this space in a very big way. Every YouTube download gives money to the copyright owner or to the artist. And according to me, these revenues which are generated from online platforms ought to be collected at a particular centralized manner, and digital marketing of these IP rights needs to be done. For example, you know, it will be very surprising. Even someone like Sotheby's has made its online auction business so big now. They generate $155 million of revenue every year just by online business. So in the same way, we need to have corporates and IP owners supporting the cause of copyright, because I think copyright industry has a huge potential in India and it's totally untapped. I would say that it needs to be tapped. It can be tapped, and at least 10 times more revenue can be got into the Indian economy by creating a centralized IP enforcement agency. I think we don't need to look at the laws. The laws are there. The laws are being interpreted. Courts are protecting rights of IP owners. What is lacking, as I said, is the channel between the huge demand and the huge supply of copyrighted works. With this, I end my keynote address. Thank you so much.